G'day guys, it's Jake here. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Please do your own research when it comes to investing. Please sure check out my links below, including exchanges I use and social media content that I post. All right, let's go. So today's video, we're talking about Ethereum USD. I might make these videos a bit shorter and just post them when I feel like it, sort of thing. Not like a scheduled thing, but every second day or third day or whatever it is. And I'll just make these short videos. Okay, so let's do Ethereum USD, particularly, and it's an analysis of where we are currently. So looking at first up seasonality. So we're going back to 2023 and 2024. So the blue is 2025, green is 2024, and 2023 is in orange. So you can see first up 2023 and 2024, very similar. Okay, is the way the price behaved. So you can see these sideways up and then sideways. Whereas 2024 caught up to that move. It's a similar sort of ROI, and then went high, and then 2023 caught up, and 2024 came down, and then sort of traded choppiness, similar sideways action, and then down into September time frame, which is standard, and they both went down here, you see, and then they went up together, and then up and up and up into December, and then sort of sideways towards the end of the year, and then 2024 went slightly down into that December time frame. 2025 now, you sort of look at it with these other two, and the other two are very similar the way they behaved. The price action for ETH is very, very much, it went down, so deviated a huge amount from the other two, like way out of left field there. Shocked everybody how far off it was. And then, it caught up in May, and then, went back up in July. The other was sort of consolidating, and then it caught up. The other two were coming down into that sort of August, September time frame. It was coming up, and then it topped end of August and went down September, and then late September sort of thing. And now they're in line with each other when it comes to ROI. So they're very similar. We'll see these tracks somewhere in between these two, or in this sort of range, and sort of follow the trajectory of the other two and go higher into the end of the year, which is what expected to happen in the post-halving year. So should see a peak in the post-halving year, a new all-time high at least. If it's not a peak, it will come into 2026, early that year. But according to these two, it should really track and follow this trajectory. We don't want it coming off a cliff and falling down like this again, and nothing at the end of the year would be pretty bad. Okay, something would have caused it to do that. So I don't want that to occur for Ethereum. You want to nice and durably shoot up into its final peak, or potentially just its all-time high before going to the final peak in Q1 of 2026. So that's seasonality there. Now, another seasonality chart is the timetable, and we've got the averages down the bottom here. So we're looking at each month and what it does on average. So in the month of October, and an average 7% return for Ethereum happens. So it should be a bullish month on average, as the green outweighs the red. Clearly you can see here. But 2024 was actually a red October. Okay, so last year was red. So far we're 7.83% up. And 2018 was bear market year, so that was down. And 2016 was down. So the other ones were quite bullish. So you couldn't complain there at all. As far as this month should be a bullish month, whether it holds up or sells it at the end of the month and going into November. We don't know what's going to happen for October. It could close slightly flat. I'm not seeing a 42% move or 80% move for ETH. Nothing like in the double digits. Something in the single digits will probably be prudent to expect for ETH this month, given that the uncertainty, with all-time highs, Bitcoin breaking new all-time highs, ETH is sort of getting around there, but it's sort of struggling to break it. So they could have a bit of cooling off to do before we actually durably break all-time highs. And it could be closed flat or slightly positive, or do what it did last year and close negative, but not hugely negative. Okay, so that's another thing. And November, we don't know yet. So November is supposed to be a green month. Okay, and so is December. So seasonality should be on our side. We should get a bullish Q4 for Ethereum. On to the volatility now. So this is the volatility 30-day index, and we're sort of in this choppiness at the moment. So we've shot up from the lows in July 2023, and now we've got this sort of sideways chop, as you can see here. All right, so in between this craziness, but we see a bounce here and shoot up to the upside, because we are sort of calling into this sort of triangle pattern. When it coils like this, it's going to break out, okay, pretty aggressively. We get these sort of spikes. We did in February this year. It did in August last year. We had that very big scare with the Bank of Japan. And the Nikkei's dropping, the biggest day lost since 1987, and all that sort of stuff was going on then. And we had these big peaks here in November of the bear year of 2022. So, and it'll spike here too in August 2023. Will we see a spike in either direction? Can spike go down as well, but I want to see this shoot up, okay, to line and seasonality, and Vegas break out when the bullish price action finally comes for Ethereum. But yeah, we're sort of tracking this to see whether you get huge spikes. Is this a slow grind down the bear market and then starting into the bull market? We haven't seen sustainable upside, moves like we did here, going down. We want to see the sustainable up move in volatility to show that we are going higher in price, and it is a good thing for ETH, okay? But that's something we're going to track, okay? So on to the last chart, which is the ETHUSD chart. And, it's on the 3-day time frame. I had the bull market support band drawn up here, okay? And where we are at 4,500 as a level to see if we can break down durably from, and not just sit there as support and go higher. That's going to be the ultimate test for ETH, I reckon. Okay, so what we can do is zoom out a bit, and I've got these lines drawn in between. It's a bit confusing. Now, if I zoom out to here, and you see these lines, okay, the diagonal line and the vertical white line, okay, going to logarithmic, you can see that, okay, I started from the bear market low in June of 2022, came back to it closely in November 2022, came back to it in October, all right, and then back to it again in August to November of 2024. So this is a strong trend line that we actually did break in February. All right, went down to here, and that was your low in April, and then went higher, okay? As you can see there quite clearly. And then, we're above this sort of triangle pattern, okay? So this is not the highs. The highs are the yellow line, which is 4,000, okay? That's your resistance level here at 4K, so quite clearly there, which is above this white line, of course. I know I drew that white line. I'll tell you why, actually. So this yellow line is the resistance level, and we're sort of bouncing off it here, okay? I did in September, late in the month, and we're sort of getting close to all-time highs here, as you can see here. Now, the bull market support band here is rising through this triangle pattern, and it is rising. If I take it off logarithmic, you can see that it just keeps tuning upwards, okay? So wherever that lands and price finally catches up to it, I do see this getting retested, okay? I want to see this retested, because we won't get a final bull market rally unless we get some cooling off from ETH first. So I want to see this happen, okay, and rip the band off and go down for Ethereum, because, because I want it to. No, not because I want it to. I think it's a healthy correction. And the reason I say that, if I get rid of the drawings, is every post-halving year, on the weekly time frame, to get this correction to the bull market support band, okay, right for the final cycle peak. Happen here, okay, September, it's late September, bang, there's your final peak, all right, 2021, 2017, the other post-halving year, and it went down to it in September, so he touched it there, all right, went sideways, came back to it again in as late as November. Okay, so it really took a while to get going, and then it finally took off. Okay, into its final cycle peak in January 2018. I'll look at the logarithmic chart. You can sort of see it right here. It sort of didn't do much. Went from the lows in September to a high in October, and then down again into late October, early November. So is this playing out currently? This is what we're going to get. Now, this lower high compared to this higher high in August, all right? So late August, all right? Mark that one down. And I'll just get rid of these drawings again because they're so distracting. This late August thing. All right, late August. Remember this? I should draw a line through it so I can come back to it. And then a low in September, all right? And a high in October. And then some sort of retouching of the bull market support band somewhere between October, which it did there, and late October. And then finally it shoots up into the final cycle peak up to here, yeah? And that's in red. It should be green. I'll make it green. All right, so that's that one. And I'll do is I'll mark these colours in as a bearish top, a bullish regain, a bearish top, okay, and a bullish regain, right? So it's nice and easy to sort of see. That's 2017. Now, go to 2025 where we are, all right, where we currently are, and the same sort of time frame is I said August high, so there it is, mid-August high. You go red, right, and then you got your low, which was mid-September. That one there, yep. And then again, this sort of lower high here. It's not quite going above these highs. And I make that actually green because it's low, right? Green, bullish low. And as we're getting this wick here, it could be a bearish wick going into early October. And then it could potentially get something that happens towards the end of the month. That's green. And then we get the final cycle peak, wherever that occurs, December or whatever. All right, so you get this idea. So high in August, down in September, up in October, and then down late October. You go back to 2017. All right, and it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. High in August, sort of mid to late August, down in September, mid-September, okay, up into October 9th, so early October, then down into late October, and then up into the final cycle peak. Okay, is that pretty simple? So we're seeing something very similar happening right now, okay? It's the same thing, but it's sort of stretched out. So it's actually 18th August, similar, right? And we got this low, sorry, measurements and stuff. It's not quite clear. But down in September, right, the same sort of September time frame, not very end of September, but mid to late September. High in October the 6th, it's October 9th, October 6th. And then down in, it's playing out exactly like 2017. It's something like playing out, you know what I mean? Exactly like 2017, right? So it's interesting, this sort of price action now, it's occurring. It's very, very similar. Another thing that's similar, I'll give you another thing that you'll freak out about. Okay, so that's that pattern we just talked about, all right? And, this was a highest high point, okay? This high in August was the highest point. This point here was not the highest point. This was the highest point. This was made in June, sorry. This is a lower high compared to that one. So, yes, it's a bit different in terms of the shape of the pattern. Okay. And now I'll show another interesting thing. All right, where are we what are we doing? I'll get rid of the drawings again. What am I doing? See, I suck at drawings. The Fibonacci tool, okay, so you go from the swing low to the swing high, all right? Swing low to swing high here, we get the 236 level. What I could do actually is draw it from this swing high because that's what the high I was sort of drawing it from. That's the August high, okay? So let's actually draw it from that high. All right, from that to that. to the low, okay? So the high to the low. We get the retracement here to the 236 level, just about, nearly got there, all right? It's 236, yeah, so quite clearly. 236 got a rejection, down the bull market support band, all right? Now you go fast forward to 2025 now. Okay, I'm quick enough in scrolling here. There it is. We're getting something similar playing out right now. So pull out the Fibonacci tool and go from the swing low to the swing high right to here. And guess what we're getting? Same rejection from the exact same. 236 right here. Okay? And maybe I'll see it in the daily time frame, a bit easier to see. If I zoom out a bit. There it is. 236. All right? Perfect rejection. We're coming off this level. All right? Could it take a bit more consolidation before it goes down? Yes, it can. All right? But this bull market support band's rising. You want to come back down to it towards the end of the month. I do see this playing out eventually, getting down to here as the bull market support band rises up. And it could be around this sort of white line, 3,700 to 3,800. All right? This Fibonacci 1.0886, somewhere around there. Okay, so here's what I'm looking out for. Same as what happened in 2017. So the 236 came into play at that stage as well. So I showed you before. So I'll go back to the 3-day time frame, and it's a bit clearer to see this rejection here at the 236. Okay, and go back to 2017, and I go back to this one here, and you can see the same thing play out there. Okay, and went down into the final low, which was a higher low. All right, and then bam, there we go. So this low was made back in September, right? Will we surpass that low or make a higher low as this bull market support band rises up? Is another question mark to look at too. So go back to 2025. That was your low there, and will it make a higher low up to here, even the 4K level? Is another question mark. It could consolidate a bit longer before getting to a higher point. Get rid of this Fibonacci. Could go a little bit higher, make this sort of this support level at 4,000, and then go higher and let this catch up, and then go into November, and then finally, go higher. Anything can happen. Could be 4K, could be 3.8. Who knows? But that's what I'm looking at for that one. Another thing I'm looking at also is your MACD. So 3-day MACD, I want to see that one cross bullish. All right, so that one there, I want to see this one come down and cross bullish like that, okay? And that's your sign at enter two. With this arrow, the MACD. So the bullishness, the MACD occurring towards the end of that month, okay? I'll go back to 2017 and have a look, see what happened back then, and I'll get rid of this bloody thing. All right, so what was the MACD doing? MACD at that stage in the cycle, where we were here, okay, early November, we crossed right there. Okay, there it is, bam. And then there we go, up the final cycle peak. So cross bullish, and then we're off to the races from there. So I want to wait for this to happen and cross, like not this fake cross here, but this real cross, this legitimate cross. We had bullish sort of, bullish divergence was here, sorry. But yeah, nevertheless, that was your cross, and we went higher. All right, and I want to wait for this cross to happen again. Well, I'm not comparing 2017 because we had Donald Trump and president at the time in the US, and he's now president now. So similar presidential years, similar response prices, I think anyway, and we're getting similar price action. Not just because it's the same president. So similar tariff policies, similar way about going about things in business, and yeah, it's the post-halving year, and he's sort of showing that this current price action is very similar to what happened in 2017, like I showed you. So you can make parallels to whatever you want, but I'm just following what's going on, and yeah, that's sort of what I'm sort of chasing is the bull market support band to be tested, go higher, and back to heat bullish cross, and then we go higher from there. And that is pretty much it for Ethereum. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm just going over Ethereum, USD, and yeah, your seasonalities, 2023, 2024 compared to this year. See what it does. It's very, very similar, except for the drop we had in April, of course. That set us off this path this year and compared to the other 2 years. And then we looked at the timetable. seasonality when it comes to the monthly returns, and seeing that October and November is bullish. So we should get either bullish October or a flat October, but 2024 was bearish. So not always bullish, but majority of the time it was. Have to wait and see that one happens. And November's always been particularly bullish, seasonality-wise, post-halving years, but it's all red months in different years too. So post-halving years, bullish, but in other years, it's a mixed bag, but majority of the time it's bullish. And we looked at volatility. So the volatility is better to take off in Ethereum on 30-day volatility index, and also looking at the USD pair and looking at where it could go based on seasonal, based on past post-halving year 2017. It's more similar, same sort of precedent. We have similar price action playing out, and even in 2021 we had the bull market support band correction first in September time frame. This is taking a bit longer, but the one in 2017 sort of did take a bit longer too, so it took until October to really shoot off the bull market support band and go into the final cycle peak. So I'm seeing it play out more like 2017 cycle. We get more of a sideways price action. We've had this low late September, high sort of mid sort of peak in. So it probably has played out now, or could be still playing out, and then a low into late of this month, and then going up. We should, see the rest of the year pretty good. So that's what I'm seeing for Ethereum. Waiting on the MACD to cross bullish as well on the 3-year time frame, and the bull market support band to get tested. So that is pretty much the video. Okay, so if you enjoyed it, please smash the like, comment your thoughts below, subscribe to stay updated. Be sure to check out the links below, and I'll catch you next one. Cheers.